back to another evening in the Stormcave, where stories live and breathe, and family memories centered around sharing those stories together are cherished. I'm your host, Grant Walker, and I'm here with my co-host, Janelle Schmidt. Janelle, how are you?
I'm doing all right. It's starting to get nice out, I think.
Yeah, I don't know about there, but it's definitely starting to feel like spring. I think we had 70 degrees yesterday, and
Oh,
it was too hot.
yeah.
No,
Totally.
it was great.
Why can't we just get some nice, like, 59 to 62 for a while? That's what spring should be, but no,
Yeah.
it's either 30 or 70.
We're probably in a similar boat that I could do 60 to 65 degrees, slightly overcast every day and just be the happiest.
Yes, totally agree. But I do like where we live in Wisconsin, it never really gets much above 90, and if it does hit 90, it's like 1 day. So, I'm very happy with
That's
the
great.
ability to look forward to summers, and it's cool, and we get a lot of thunderstorms, and
Yeah, you've certainly experienced well, in the Midwest where we grew up, we got probably warmer than that, but then living in North Carolina where
ugh.
you had it's 100 degrees and 110% humidity to where you can basically swim to your car every
Yep,
day.
yep,
Just
and there's
so
no
much fun.
shade, and there's never a breeze, and
No.
if there is a breeze, the hills and the trees catch it, and you don't feel it, and it hits 90 in March, and then you know that you're not getting any relief until November, so
Yeah. Well, I remember living for almost 2 years down in Florida, and the first week I was there, I was like, "How can people live here?" But to be fair, there was a number of folks I actually have Angelina, my wife, has some family that lives down in Florida, and when they would come visit us in California, which is also known for sunshine and very warm weather, would be wearing sweaters because they were so cold. And
yeah,
Angelina, when she came out to visit us over the first Christmas when she came to Chicago and she was asking, what temperatures would be like, and I said, "Oh, it won't be too bad." I said, It'll probably be in the 20s, but the wind chill, it'll probably be down in, like, the single digits." And she she asked the question seriously at the time, "Do do people die?" I said, "Yeah. Oh, yeah, all the time." They just
I think you said if they go outside without any clothes on.
they would die.
I
Yeah,
remember hearing
I
this
probably
story.
I mean, it could.
Well,
So
and then we summoned up quite a nice blizzard for her while she
oh,
was down
man.
there with us. Yeah, it was great. We built a huge snow fort that we got, like,
Yeah,
3 adults in,
we did, and
and
it
then we
my
had to drive through, like, a blizzard to get to, because I took Angelina and Claire and Brittany and our mom out for tea, like a ladies' tea. It's the only time I've ever done that, but it was fun. And we had to
yeah,
drive through a blizzard to get there, and we had those, like, the big window scrapers, and when we got out of the car or when we got to the car afterwards, I was like, "Oh, Angelina, can you grab that," out from because it was under her seat in the back, and she kinda pulled it out. She's like, "What is this for?" And we were like, "Oh, you are from a different culture."
it's a dingle hopper.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that was a wonderful time, and I do think any of you folks living in warmer climates, if you haven't experienced building a snow fort or an igloo, man, you're missing out. Now, what's funny though is we grew up making these snow forts where you would get big berms, piles of snow that had either been plowed or that you would create with shovels. And nothing was more fun than building these intricate tunnels with like large chambers that you could go in and we'd bring food and snacks in there and set up, forts and just had the most fun. In the last couple of years, we've had enough snow here in Washington where my kids could do that. And as a parent, it's terrifying because all I can think about is at some point these forts collapse
Right.
and there is a chance that people could be in them when that happens. And so I'm always ruining a little bit of my kids' fun by creating these escape hatches or
Yeah.
hollowing out the roof to where it's just kind of more of a big wall that goes around in a
Yes.
circle. Think Calvin and Hobbes with his little, stash of snowballs with his fort built
Yeah.
around him. But yes, it's a lot of fun. So
Yeah. We didn't get enough snow to do it this year. We got a good amount of snow and the kids were building forts, and I generally just tell them, if you're gonna be out in the fort, you have to have one of your siblings there with you so they can dig you out. So you don't, and nobody's been buried yet, so that's good.
that's
But
good.
I was realizing that if we got enough snow, we could just, like, build walls up around the trampoline because we left the trampoline up all winter.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, yeah, that'd be great." And then, of course, winter was over. So next year
Next year.
they have a plan.
In
Best
the
snowboard
word in the words of James Rhodey, "Next time, baby."
ever.
I don't know, is his first name James? I just know he's Rhodey.
I think you're right. I think that's right.
Anyway,
Listeners, are we right? Is it James Rhodey?
we're always right. So, in tonight's episode, we wanna talk about something just a little bit different, but kinda still it revolves around the same thing. We're talking about creating memories together as a family and doing that through storytelling. But another element that we have really come to enjoy, and I think the history of it has been an interesting one, is playing board games as a family. And I kind of chuckle a little bit, Janelle, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say board game playing in our family growing up had a bit of a bit of a roller coaster type thing where I think we really enjoyed games and board
Yeah.
games, but there were a number that became outlawed for, I was going to say various reasons, but I think the reasons were fairly singular.
Everybody ended up crying.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm thinking, I
What's
don't know,
funny is
maybe
I
you can
don't
guess what game it was that left everyone in shambles and relationships near ruined.
I feel like that was every game we played. I don't remember games being outlawed. I just remember that I just remember somebody was always storming off,
Yeah.
and it wasn't the same person every time. It was just whoever happened to be losing that particular game at that particular moment. But it was like every game we played.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well,
So
from Battleship to, we played a lot of, like, the older board games, backgammon and chess and checkers. But then,
aggravation
Aggravation,
with a
which
name
lives
like
up to its
that.
name. Yeah. Why would anybody say, "Oh, this is what I want in my life,"
Right.
but whatever. Mr. Aggravation board game maker. Anybody can
Monopoly,
do
the
that.
game that never ends.
Yeah, for sure. That's supposed to
Risk,
teach you
the
things about
game that
life. I just read recently, in Monopoly, you could just go round and round the board and collect your $200 every time and never buy anything, and probably end up in much better place than you ever would if you invested in all this real estate. And I thought, man, that never even occurred to me that, oh, you have to build up your empire and your wealth and deal with all the aggravation of slowly watching yourself slip into financial ruin as you make these rash financial decisions of, like, how come you can't just enjoy what you have and be content and just go through life collecting your $200 and every once in a while landing on free parking and
in
going to jail
Monopoly.
here and there.
In Monopoly. Monopoly, the game that promotes homelessness.
Yes,
What?
pretty much, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Don't need to be
Um,
a landowner, just
no,
try not to land on anybody else's property.
that's
I
right.
don't know.
That's
Take
right.
a
So
train ride every now and then.
that's right. So I do think that board games somewhere, probably for me, it was more around college age. And Janelle, you and your husband Derek have introduced us to almost what I would think, and I don't know if they've have always been there, but it feels like in the last 10 to 20 years, a new brand of board game has kind of,
Yeah, I think it's
or at least
called
definitely much more
Eurogaming.
Eurogaming. Okay.
Yeah, I think Eurogaming because I think it started kind of in Germany, maybe? I'd have to look that up. It was shortly after Derek and I got married, and some friends of ours came over, and they brought over Settlers of Catan, and that was kind of the
I feel like
the
that was the first
first
game. Yeah.
game. Yeah, it kinda is for a lot of people who grew up on Monopoly and Sorry and Risk, like, Settlers of Catan tends to be the game that kinda opens up the world of, "Oh, there are other types of games, and there's other types of gameplay out there," and then you kinda go, "Oh, these are way more fun than games that are just roll the dice and hope." So
Yeah. Which so the game that probably wasn't actually outlawed, but the game that led to probably the most contention, but it was also one of my favorite games, is the game Risk, because it just lends itself to devastation when you build up just this great military strategy and you're trying to employ it, and someone decides to go on the attack 2 moves before you had your army built up to be able to withstand such an attack, and your entire army is eliminated from the board, and then you have to wait 7 hours for them to finish playing the game. Or
right.
what would happen often is we would be 8 or 9 hours into this game and 2 of us would decide, "Hmm, we're ready to go do something else, so let's team up," which is never a good idea.
No,
So,
there's no such thing as a real ally in Risk.
yeah. And so yeah, when Settlers of Catan came out and some of these other games where Yes, there are elements where your strategy can be thwarted, but you're kind of able to follow your own strategy and do certain things. And there's games within the game, and you can kind of be doing your thing. And I don't know if it's true, but it just feels like at the end of the game, sometimes you can lose, but still feel like, oh, I accomplished what I wanted to. Or you could be like our dad and like, I care about nothing but building the longest road. And so I accomplished that. So I feel fulfilled in my life.
Yes.
But it just felt like a new kind of game. And
Yeah.
so we have very slowly over the years started picking up different games. And for me, I think we could talk to our brother Evan. It would be great to have him on and talk about board games because
Yes.
Evan is super fun to play board games with. But I don't know if there's anything Evan loathes more in life than learning or being forced to learn a new complicated game. And I think his strategy is I don't want to learn, just let me play the game.
Right.
And it does quite well doing it that way. But
It works well for him.
it is very daunting, and so we're gonna talk about a couple of our favorite board games to play as families. We'll just dive straight into it, but one of the things that is interesting, it's kinda like reading a book. Sometimes there is that, like, "Oh, I just wanna play something that I already know how to play." Like, "I just wanna go watch the show that I know that I like." I just wanna go you're tired at night. There's not a lot of free time in life to just like, "Oh, let's play a board game." We don't live in the age of Pride and Prejudice where life just revolved around visiting with our friends and family and not doing anything but maintain the grounds of our estates,
And if you caught a
which
sniffle,
which
you
we
were
do through our servants maintaining our
right,
estates.
right, 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 right.
No, life is
And it
different than that.
yes, it's a little different, a little different. You can't don't just walk around the room because you
Yes.
have nothing better to do.
Another topic for another podcast is why I love the show North and South versus the small gripes that I have with the Pride and Prejudice anthology of that time period. Because in North and South, they have jobs and difficulties in life that are just normal and on top of their relationship drama.
Mm.
Whereas in other, it's like the only drama in life is anyways, I digress. Let's talk about
Who are you
board
going to
games.
marry?
Yeah,
Being the only drama in life.
yeah, yeah. There has to be
Yeah.
something more.
Yes, yes.
Anyways, so all of that to say, it can be a little daunting, and it is for me. And one of the games I want to talk about is a game that the kids pulled out. We had been gifted it on Christmas. Let's just talk about this game. So I want to
Go
talk. The
for it.
first game that I want to talk about is the Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Yes.
This is a game, Chanel, that you got us for Christmas,
Yeah.
and right away, it just a lot of the cool stuff about some of these new games. For me, they're new, and it's possible that it might be new for you in the audience, but it's also possible that you've been enjoying these types of games for years. But over the last since we've had kids. So it's the last 10, 12 years. And even after college, started getting into some of these games where one, the artwork is just phenomenal and the game design is beautiful. There's a story behind it. It's not Uno. Uno's a fun game, but it's not just, red, blue, yellow, green cards. It's obvious that someone has put a lot of thought and time and detail into every element of the game, and it's a lot of fun. So the kids we got this game for Christmas, and the kids have pulled it out a couple of times, and they're like, "Dad, let's play this game. Let's play the Quacks of Quedlinburg." And the title of the game, when you read the instructions, it makes sense, but I had no idea. In fact, I was looking and I was like, "Ah, I'll say ducks. I'll say ducks on this game. I see some
What
crows. Crows don't say quack." Anyways, so I had no idea. Like I said, I just
oh,
had no idea what I was getting myself into, and so we played
totally.
that.
Derek has
Oh,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No.
No, Derek so we found out about this game because Derek has a game night. He has guys over for game night every Monday night,
Oh, right
and
on.
one of his friends brought this game a couple of times, and I didn't get to play it because sometimes I'll join them and play, but I've never joined them on a night when they were playing this game. So forever, I thought it was a game about ducks as well.
Has nothing to do with ducks.
No,
But
not that
all
kind of quack.
no. So all of that to say, we pulled this game out. It was probably 6 o'clock on a school night, and the kids want to play a board game. And what's funny is I really want to play more board games with our family because it's just something fun to do. It's something different from watching a show or reading a book. It's very interactive. The kids have really gotten into it. Like they love it. And rather distressingly, they have become quite good at it to where it used to be that I kind of tried to keep the games fairly close. I felt like I could manipulate it to where if I lost, I knew I could have won. But it has gotten to the point now to where the last time we played this game, I was like, "I am gonna come up with the best strategy," and I was defeated by all 3 of my children, and I lost quite badly, and was left feeling quite bloody. So, it's a super fun game. So, quack's referring more to, like, the old medical profession, and you're coming to this convention in medieval times where people are trying to come up with remedies for various maladies, and it's a totally different style or game structure. It's they maybe there's others out there because they call it like a bag building or some kind of like a building to where you're collecting ingredients and you're trying to put together each turn. You're trying to put together these recipes to try to move farther along the board, but there's always this danger of your pot exploding if you put too many ingredients in. So you kind of it's a little bit of risk and reward, but you're playing kind of all at the same time, and everybody's kind of watching what each other are doing. So you're aware, like as the game goes. What's funny is we opened it up, and then my first thought was, "Oh my gosh, guys, we can't do this tonight." There's like a book that is 100 pages of instructions, and the amount of stuff in the game. There was all we had to cut out, not cut out, but like
So many punch outs.
so
Yeah.
many punch outs, and which was actually quite fun. But when we first, it's just overwhelming, and I said, "Guys, I
Yes.
don't know about this." But what's cool is and I've learned this with a lot of games, is you just have to get through that first barrier because once you understand the game, which we were able to do from me down to my 7-year-old,
Yeah.
the gameplay is not complicated.
Yeah.
But, and this has become a trait of games that I absolutely love, is the gameplay is not super complicated, but the strategy and the thought process that goes into it can be as complex as you are able to understand the game or as complex as you want it to be. And I love that because it takes something that makes it very simple. We can all play it, we can all enjoy it, but we can all start to see that, oh, wow, there's deeper strategies and there's different things that we can do. And there's different ways that, man, if I'm going after these elements that work together or give me different things. And it's just a lot of fun. And it's got just fantastic replayability because you can switch the game up and you can try different things. And basically, you're trying, and it's turn based, or I guess it's got a set number of turns. I think there's 7 or 9 turns or something like that. So it's the game kind of, once you know how to play, you kind of know it's like, this is going to take us about an hour. And the kids kind of know it and they're jumping in. Everybody wants to do their own things, but we're together. We're doing it together, but everybody's kind of doing their own things. And it's one of those games where at the end of the game, the first game, I think my oldest son was a little disappointed when he didn't win, but this last game, we all had fun, and we got to the end of the game, and it was just like everybody had moments of fun in the game, and the end results, like the people, my daughter and youngest son beat me and my oldest son, and they were super pumped about it, but we weren't disappointed. Like it was really fun, and it's just a quirky game, but totally different mechanics from anything I've ever played before. And it just, yeah, I would recommend it from, like I said, probably more fun for kids. I would say probably the game's designed for 10 and up, but my 7-year-old, this is the game that he has to play every time. So, certainly younger ages can jump in and enjoy it. I think they would enjoy all the different pieces and all the different things that you do, and it's very easy to walk everybody through each turn as you get started, but becomes so like, the mechanics are fairly repetitive, even though it's something different each time, which is just a cool design, very cool design.
Oh, yeah. I love that one. I love how it's simultaneous play, so there's really no downtime, right? Because everybody's doing the same thing,
Yeah,
uh, at like, every turn, everybody is working together, so that's cool. You can't really mess with each other's strategy either.
for sure.
Like, there's not a lot of, that and I always kinda go back to Risk, right? There's no somebody can just come in and sweep you off the board type of
Right,
moment. Nobody can kinda go, "Oh, ha, 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 I took the thing that you wanted to do," and so I love that,
right.
just kinda it's very you have your own bag of stuff, and you have your own little board, and you're doing your thing on your board, and it doesn't really get affected by what everybody else is doing. You can see what other people are doing, but it doesn't really affect you at all.
Yeah, it's kinda
Um,
like golf where or like cross country where you're kinda competing against yourself and you're like the risk reward is decisions that you just have to make on your own. Like I said, you're strategizing based off what other people are doing. But yeah, you're right. Like you can't even like Settlers of Catan or some other games where, oh my goodness, like they took what I wanted or they've got all the resources or it's no, it's just it's kind of you versus yourself. while playing together and seeing like who else is pushing it and who else isn't. And oh, this round I've got to risk it. I got to go for it because that's my only chance to catch up. And it's really fun because it's also one of those games where it's got elements designed into it to where if you are in last, it tries to give you assistance to make it easier for you to catch up. And so it tries to keep the game very even, which I think is really cool. Which I was very disappointed last time because I was so far behind that I kept giving super boosts and could still not come close. So I've been online, YouTubing quacks of Quedlinburg strategy ever since. What about you, Janelle? Tell us, what do you have a board game that you guys love playing as a family?
Uh, yeah, so there we love playing it we kinda go through phases. Right now, all of my kids are very much in like, they really love anything coming out of Unstable Games. Have you seen any of those? Have you seen
Give me an
Unstable
example.
Unicorns? So Unstable Unicorns was kind of
Oh,
their
okay.
hit game, and, these are very simple. They're very well, deceptively simple, I guess. They can take a while to play. So Unstable Unicorns is just a card game,
Okay.
and you have these cards, and they're all unicorns.
Okay.
Or you have, like, cards that give you power-ups or whatever, or take away power-ups, or so this one's a little bit more combative because you're trying to get 7 unicorns in your stable
Okay.
at the beginning of your turn.
Oh,
And but there are cards that can let people make it so that you can't play certain unicorns, or that make it so that you can't do the things that you want to do, or they can steal your unicorns, they can destroy your unicorns. And so you're just all trying to play. You draw a card. It's very simple. You draw a card, you play a card, and then your turn is over. You're going around. And so it's the sort of thing where it's like you're just trying to get 7 cards on the table in front of you at the beginning of your turn. But if you have 7 cards on the table in front of you at the end of your turn, everybody else at the table is going to spend their entire life trying to get at least one of those unicorns away from you before your turn can start. And it's just very silly, like, there's just a lot of silliness to it, but all of the kids enjoy playing it, and it can go on for a while just because if people have the right cards, then they can mess with what you're doing. But for example, part of the silliness, there is a card that you can play that turns all of your unicorns into pandas. It's called Pandemonium,
yes.
the Pandemonium card, and then none of the cards that say anything about unicorns can affect your pandas, because you don't have unicorns, you have pandas, but you can't win with 7 pandas. So at some point, you need to get a card that allows you to turn your pandas back into unicorns, and that has all sorts of issues with it as well. But anyway, that one's been like anything coming out of Unstable Games has been fun lately. There we for Brant's birthday, we got him Here to Slay, and
Oh,
it's all this cute little animal artwork, like, it's here to slay, and then it's like these tiny little panda bears and horses and squirrels, and they're all dressed up like adventurers, and that game, you're just trying to, like, complete your adventuring, party or kill 3 monsters before anybody else can do either of those 2 things. And so
like
there's
it.
2 different ways to win, and it's kind of a very simple kinda, D&D type of, like, you're building up this party, and then there's these cards in the middle, and you're using your party to see if you can kill the monster. And anyway, very simple. Again, he takes it to choir and plays it with his buddies. So 10-year-old bunch of 10-year-olds playing this game, it's a lot of fun.
Oh,
So
that's awesome. Well, I love the games. You gave us a game for Christmas a couple years ago that it's really fun for adults, but it's been one of those games that is unique that the kids love to play with cousins and people come over, and that's the Ghost Fight and Treasure Hunters.
yes.
Or is that what it is? Ghost Fight and
Yeah,
Treasure
Ghost Fight
Hunters?
and Treasure
Yeah.
Hunters,
And
yes.
again, it's just as a cool mechanic to a game because they're kind of all playing on the same team and you're all
Yes.
going, trying to you're trying to collect treasure while fighting ghosts. Yeah. Anyways,
Yes,
it's a
and then
great
getting back
game.
out of the house.
Getting back out of the house. And so it is. It's just really fun because they're doing it together and they're just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. But I really love those newer kinds of games. Another game that we love playing together. This probably even more than Settlers of Catan for me is what got me into these kinds of games because this is the game Carcassonne. To me, it's just a really fun game because the mechanics are so simple. It's literally you could explain the game by saying you pick a tile and you just match it up. So the tiles have fields or roads or cities, parts like puzzle type pieces on them, and you just have to match them up with what's on the board. And that's how you play the game. But then it can get very complex because then you have little meeples and you have to decide how you want to meepleize your opponents. Whether do you want to put your person on a road and try to claim this road and hope that you can build this into a really long road and get points that way? Do you want to put them in a city and hope that you can build up your city and close it off so that you can collect all the points? Do you want to try to
Hmm.
build a city and sneak your way into somebody else's city to steal some of their points? Do you want to put your person in a field and hope that at the end of the game, that field is connected with a bunch of completed cities, which therefore give you 3 points for every city that's been completed? Or do you want to try to dominate through cloisters where you're putting it down on this piece where if it gets completely surrounded, you get 9 points for that piece? And so it just kind of explodes into like mechanics being so simple, but then even in a game where the luck is you're just drawing a piece and you get what piece you get, but then you have decisions to make. Like, do you want to put a person on this piece? Do you want to build towards any of those things that we just talked about? Or not. And so it's just really fun because, my kids, even when they were much younger, could play this game and love this game. And what I love is it's a game where you take it out, you open the box up, and you're playing within 5 seconds, and you can dive right into a game and be done in 20 or 30 minutes. And so it does. It gives me that fix of like it's very easy, very simple. It can be as mindless as you want, or it can be as complex as you want it to be at the same time. So that's just again, those two games really, really fun to play as a family. I have other board games here that I also really enjoy. I love the game Power Grid. I love the game
Oh, yeah.
Splendor. I love a couple of these, but those are games that I kind of set them off to the side because I don't know if they're quite as much fun with the kids yet. We love the game Ticket to Ride. I don't know, you've played that,
Uh-huh.
don't you know?
Yeah, I
That's a
love
really
Ticket
fun
to
game to
Ride.
play with a bunch of people, and it's just, again, one of those games where you're trying to win, but at the same time, you're just trying to like you have these individual like achievements that you're trying to accomplish. And what I love is if you get cut off, sometimes there's other ways, and so then now you gotta troubleshoot and figure out, okay, well, is there a different route to try to get to where I was going? And so it's fun. Ticket to Ride can be a little bit risk like where someone can steal your route and just totally devastate all your best laid plans, but the kids really love that game. Splendor has been really fun to play with other families, but
Mhm.
it's just the I feel like it's a simple game to play, but to really have fun, you kinda have to understand that strategy a little bit, and so my kids just haven't loved that one as much. And Power Grid,
My
I
kids really like Splendor.
do they? Oh, yeah, like, and I love
Yeah.
Splendor, so it might be the kinda thing to where we just try it a couple more times. My favorite board game of all time is Power Grid. But again, that's just, I just love the supply and demand and the economic functions of you're running these power
Oh,
plants,
yeah.
and I don't know, just something to me, it reminds me of
Yep.
we used to play this game at San Diego Christian College at our business school. We played this game. It's the business management game where you were given the reins of a shoe company and you had to make all of these decisions and then input them in to make 1 year of financial decisions, from what where are you going to put your manufacturing hubs, where are you going to what kind of celebrities you're going to try to have endorse your products, you're going to try to hit the high cost, best quality market, or are you going to try to be low cost, high volume? And so all these decisions, and then they would put them all in, and everybody's decisions would affect everybody else. Like if everybody went with the low cost model, then there's a lot of competition, so you're just kind of cannibalizing yourself. Anyway, it was fun, and so
Huh.
that reminds me of Power Grid because you're trying to look at supply and demand. How are you going to power your factories? And if everybody's going towards coal, then obviously coal becomes super expensive. And so,
Right.
are you going to shift your strategy? Are you going to try to move towards solar or nuclear power because now these resources are more attainable than those other ones? Anyways, it's just fun. So I like that
Yeah.
one, and haven't really gotten into that with the kids, so that's why I didn't.
Yeah.
I guess I did just talk about that game, but all
No,
that to
but that's a
say,
great one, and Derek always uses that one as, like, if you wanna, like, teach somebody the very like, just a basic understanding of supply and demand and
yeah,
just economics, like, use that
that's
game.
great.
It's a fantastic game. I think some of my kids could probably play that, we have a 16 and 13-year-old, and but
Yeah.
Brant is like my 10-year-old is quite brilliant. He's probably the biggest fan of board games of all of my kids. So finding stuff that he wants, and he's always wanting to play the more complex things, and then he gets a little frustrated because he doesn't understand them. So, but I think eventually he's gonna really enjoy playing games like that. I didn't bring any of the games downstairs, but the game that you guys got us for Christmas, Everdell, is has become a quick favorite. We've only played it
Really?
once, and we actually stopped, like, in the middle 'cause we it took a little longer because just learning things, right? The first time you play something, it always takes a little bit longer, so we're trying to learn it, and it's very much a worker placement game, which usually like, I say I don't like worker placement games, but that's because my first worker placement game that I ever played was Agricola, and that was horrible. Everybody loved it, I hated it. It was so cutthroat, it reminded me of Risk, and it was very much if you didn't get to do the thing you wanted to do because somebody else took it, that was it. The game was over for you. And so that was kind of my first introduction to worker placement games. I have since found 2 worker placement games that I very much love. Everdell is one of them. And the reason that I like it and it just it's kinda got that very cute, you know, artistry of the little animals, and you play as a little bunny or a little turtle or a little hedgehog, and I don't remember what the other one is. And you have to, like, build this tree to, like, put the whole board together beforehand, and then you're just trying to, like, buy cards and make your little 15 card grid. You get points, and you see who does the best, like, prepping so you're kinda going through each season, spring, summer, fall, winter, seeing who can do the best job prepping for winter, I think is the idea. And so there's, like, all these different things. You might wanna get sticks, or you might wanna gather berries, or you might wanna get amber, and I don't know what they're using any of these things for, stones. And I think they're just, like, building their little forage. Your little animal is building its little forage nest thing and, all these different fun things that you can do. And so the cards give you different things that you can do, and it's a little more complex in that there's a lot of setup, but the gameplay is super simple once you get through it. So again, it's a lot of pieces all at the beginning, and again, like when we pulled it out, I was like, oh, instant overwhelm.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For
But
sure.
but it was fun to play, and even Leanna liked it, and she can be a little harder to sell on a game, especially one that lasts for a couple hours, but she ended up winning, so I think that helped,
That always helps.
especially since I
I
don't think she
usually
was even
enjoy
trying to win.
I usually enjoy those games a lot. That's why I have
But
only 3 games that I like.
there you go. But I did like, if somebody took the spot that you wanted, there were plenty of other places on the board that had similar things
Mm.
or that didn't have like a limit and everybody could go there if they wanted to. So maybe you didn't get to get 3 sticks, but you could go somewhere and get 2 sticks and a berry or something like that. So it didn't like go, oh, well, now I can't do anything this round, which was nice. And the other game that is worker placement that I really like, it's much smaller. It's Tiny Epic Dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah, you
Your
told me about
boys
that
would
one.
love this.
Really?
I
I'm
think
gonna
your
have to look
boys
into
would
that one.
love it. If my boys can play it, your boys will
My
enjoy it.
daughter would love
Oh,
it
Reese would
too at some
probably
point,
yeah.
and
Reese
I'm
would
thinking my
dominate.
one-year-old will love it someday because she is I thought my youngest
Dinosaur
boy
Queen.
was obsessed with dinosaurs. She is obsessed with dinosaurs.
Yeah. So it's one of those where, again, you're kinda playing on your own little board. You
Okay.
have your own little board, and it's your little dinosaur farm. And you start with anyway, the Tiny Epic games are just fun because they come in these boxes that are, like, this big.
Uh-huh.
And the whole idea is just because the box is small doesn't mean the game is.
Hmm.
And so it's got a lot of strategy, and you've got this, like, the kind of a main board where you can put your dinosaurs each round, and, you're basically putting your meeples on your little farmers. You got little dinosaur farmers, and you got little dinosaur tokens, and so you're trying to collect dinosaur tokens using your farmers to go do things like you have to buy fences, because you can't just have your dinosaur running around free in the field. They'll get out.
For sure.
So you have to
For
put
sure.
in fences, and you have to if you want more dinosaurs, you have to make sure that there are 2 dinosaurs in an area because then you'll get another dinosaur, but you can only ever have 2 dinosaurs in one area together. So so then so then you have to find new paddocks and areas to put them, and so you have to, like, maintain your farm. You can sell your dinosaurs for money. You can get special dinosaurs that give you special things, and you also have these little cards that you're trying to fulfill, like, special missions with. It's very fun. Your kids would I think I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting here actually the game is yeah, I do. I think the kids would love that game. But I was kinda laughing 'cause then you start asking these questions like, "Well, I see. So dinosaur farmer kinda like you would be like a cattle rancher, like that
Yeah.
you're but what is it about dinosaurs that make them such a desired commodity?" And I just think of there's that show where the guy is trying to help his friend get a date, and so he says, "Oh, he's talking to this girl, and the girl says, "Oh, I just love koala bears." And his friend goes, "Oh, Bill here is an expert koalologist down at the zoo." And he's very much like me to where he just freezes up in the moment. And she goes, "Oh, what do you love so much about koala bears?" And he says, "Uh, they're delicious meat." So I'm sitting here wondering, is that what people want these dinosaurs for? Are they plowing your fields? Are you selling them for dino burgers? What is the need to have a corral full of tyrannosaurs? The
They
Tyrannosauric.
That's good. Yeah, well, and you have, like, the little meat eater dinosaurs and the herbivores, and you
Maybe
get
I'm over.
points for having more or less of
Maybe
one.
I
You
am
can
I overthinking
feed
it?
you can feed your dinosaurs, like, if you have too many dinosaurs,
What do you
because you
you
have to
feed
feed your
them?
dinosaurs. You can feed them other dinosaurs.
Oh my goodness.
This game was marketed, like, perfectly to 11-year-old boys, I think. It's just like
Yeah. Well, it is a game, and it's like one of those normal movie games, so it's I don't think it's the most fun in the world. No offense to my son Luca, but he loves the game Jurassic Park, where
mm.
one person plays the dinosaurs and everybody else plays the people, and the dinosaurs have to eat the people before they could get off the island. And to this day, the people have never won. And to
But
this day, no one has ever been allowed to play the dinosaurs other than Luca. And I don't know if we're even playing it correctly because I haven't really dove into
dived? Divin.
given
Dove.
into the instruction manual. All I know is I always play Dennis Nedry, and I always don't make it off the island. I don't know if that game even allows for that.
That's
So,
great.
yes, my boys would love it, and we will have to check
Yes.
it out. So, I think we have given you guys some ideas for board games. They are a lot of fun. Board games, just like movies and stories and music, you know, you never really know what you're gonna get, but you're always looking for the next great one. It is fun. We have found I don't know if you guys do this now, where you're at now, but we have had a couple times where we've gone to some really cool board game stores where you can actually try the games. Because a lot of times it's like, "Oh, this game looks cool. Let's get it." And it's just not my favorite, but it just has sat on our shelves. But it is cool to go in, or when you have recommended games to us, to where it's like, okay, we know this game is fun. We have to take that time to learn it. Just like with a great book series, sometimes you don't get right into it on page one. Sometimes it takes a couple books to get really into the story, but when you do, it's so worth that investment. And playing board games as a family has just been a really fun thing to do. And I know my kids love going to grandma's house and playing not
Oh, at Dragonwood.
Dragonwood. So I
Yes.
know my kids love going to grandma's house and playing the game Dragonwood with grandma. And I also know that they have, like, if they come back and they have won the game, I feel like they've actually accomplished something because nobody is more competitive in a board game than our mother, which is just a lot of fun because I don't know, Janelle, it's fun to win at a board game, but it's really fun to win at a board game when somebody else really wants to win.
That is true. That
Uh,
is true.
so these are just a lot of fun. We'll drop
Yeah.
some links down below, and I hope you guys would share with us board games that you love because we're always, again, just like stories and movies and music, we're always looking. So we will put some down below. Would love it if you guys would share in the comments some of your favorite board games. And yeah, let us know games that you love now playing with your kids or games that you grew up playing, maybe games that are off the beaten track. Or let us know if you had similar experiences with games like Monopoly and Risk, where you learned nothing but the cruel truth of adult life at a young age.
And if that is the case, we thank you for coming in out of the storm of that cruel world that we live in, but does have some bright spots like board games and stories and family memories that we can laugh at now.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.